Okay, good morning, folks. How are you? Should be seeing dollar index. Okay. All right, all right, all right. Let's get this going. Couple things that happened last night without my expectation. The um, the dollar came down, cleared out the bodies of this swing low in here, but we came all the way back up and closed in this area of price action. Now this morning I'm watching at, if I'm not mistaken, check real quick. Forex Factory's calendar today. You'll notice at 8:15 we have ADP non-farm employment change. That may be a catalyst for some movement. And I'm wondering, as much as I'd like to see the buy stops be ran out, I might be wrong. I might be wrong, and they may take it down below these lows here. And the reason why I'm thinking that is because overnight, Euro Pound had some crazy action in here. The Euro Dollar, we started right from the 0 GMT opening and only moved like 2 pips above it, 3 candles, or 4 candles rather. And then that's it. It's only been straight down. They left this smooth area of price action. And if you look at what's happened so far, we have the low and we have, hang on one second here. We have the low to the high up in here. We're hitting right off the 62% retracement level. We have a lot of gap in here, plus liquidity above here. So I'm thinking they're probably going to take it above this high. And this has only been just a straight deep retracement ahead of the employment numbers. So be mindful that may happen here in about 45 minutes or so. I won't be here, obviously, to work with you, but use this as a suggestion to study it. You can maybe even see 109.60 today, if this is in fact what's unfolding. And the other reason is we had cable come up, close our gap we had outlined, went right up into it, closed it really efficiently, and then traded lower. It also has moved down into, or has moved into and have moved away from a discount. Came into this area here, filled in all of this inefficiency, and we have this big block of bounced price. It came back into it and then rejected it. We still have a little bit of a gap in here, but again, similar to what we just outlined on the euro dollar, I think, like I said last night, I want to see this thing go higher based on what I'm seeing in the chart. I think that cable has a lot more potential on the upside. There's a whole lot of Brexit built into this thing, so I think they're probably going to want to take it higher. So if we see any weakness on the dollar at 8:15 or so, be cautious. You don't want to see it do that right away. What you would rather see on dollar is make this little bit of a retracement in here, fill in that gap. You may not have that gap on your chart, but you certainly should have a big range in here. If it comes down into that 8:15 hour and then makes a run and fails to get above this high, that's your sell. Dollar should sell off. Cable should rally. Euro should rally. Aussie dollar really took a beating right at the 0 GMT opening last night. I mean, it was right there and straight down. Like I said, I didn't have an opinion on Aussie, but man alive, that was a nice move. Didn't see it coming, had no expectation of it, so but I'm very impressed by what had happened overnight. Cody's gloating. He did a yen trade. So that's not my trade, so don't get mad at me. I didn't share it with you. He did this one all on his own. I didn't want to keep it up here, but I just want to toss it in just for record's sake, just to give him an attaboy. Dad's not touching yen no more. But dollar CAD, this one here, this one might buck the overall conditions of today because the Canadian dollar itself is really weak. So we may see, regardless of what happens in dollar, we may see this continue higher. I think it could see the 138s, 138.50s before the end of the week. So it could potentially punch up there a little bit higher. We did come out of a little consolidation here and shoot higher. It would have been better for them if they were going to top it to come off that high and start breaking down. They've taken it up. It took a short-term low in here. Instead of smaller little range inside, we're working inside that. Sell stops are right below that. So if I'm bullish and I'm correct, we should see price just come below that low, wipe out any trailed stop losses, and then start to gun higher. So that's kind of like a wild card. It could or couldn't happen, but I favor alongside on this pair more than anything. I wouldn't want to sell it, but that way, regardless of what I see in the dollar index. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about. It just seems to me that they have really, really taken it back far right from the beginning of IPTA last night. At 8 p.m., everything rolled lower, and it just seems like they did that really deeply ahead of the employment numbers, and they're probably going to surprise and send it higher in lower in the dollar, higher in the foreign currencies. And you can already see some short-term support building around that 62% chase level off of the order blocks as well. And again, liquidity is right here and above here. And I apologize. Thank you, Esme, for correcting me regarding the CAD. I mistakenly said Monday's high. It was Tuesday's high, rather. So I have a lot of things going on right now, so I apologize if I confuse any of you. Yeah, I wish I could see something in Aussie. There's a couple gaps in here that if we see some movement lower on the dollar, it sends this higher. We have a tongue twister, fair value gap right here, and we have one in here as well. So let's outline that just in case we get some upside. You guys can study that throughout the day. There. And right there. So there are ones to watch. And I'm just going to do one more quick look at dollar index. Remember, the scenario I'm thinking is going to unfold is ideally 815 employment numbers. They don't want to drop, or if they do drop, they'll drop down here, close this gap, then make an attempt to rally, fail up here. You want to see a failure up in this area here. And I'll give you exactly what I'm looking for. Last up close candle. That's the body right there to close, or thereabouts. I don't care about this candle. I'm looking for the up candle. Okay, if we punch up above that, that's a rejection block. We would expect to see that fail and go lower. Ideally, you don't want to see the 815 news release on employment numbers descend the price straight away lower. You don't want to see that. That's why ideally you want to see it come down here, fill this gap ahead of time, and then make an attempt to rally on that news. And then they fade that just below or at above this here. You don't want to see it go above this high here. But just below it, at or just a little bit above it, that would be a perfect scenario to see them fade that and then come down and make the run on the liquidity over here. This looks obvious, and I think I'm wrong. Personally, I think I'm looking at this, and they set a red herring up. I think the real setup is going to be running down here. So the setup used at 8:15 news may in fact drive euro dollar higher above this high here, last Friday's high, and last Friday's high here, over here as well. So something to watch this morning, and I will keep you abreast of our developments when we get down there. But it's not terribly life-threatening what we're having done with him, but it is important that we get it looked at. So I'm not going to give any more details because people like to share my personal business right now. And so, but you are a mentorship member, and I want you to know what I'm doing. I'm not basking in the sun at Bermuda. Okay, so I will talk with you all later on this afternoon by way of tweet, and if I can communicate anything through Cody, he can post on the forum. I'll certainly do that as well. Good luck, good trading.